Texas Chainsaw Massacre film is a classic, and after that, the only other worthwhile Texas Chainsaw Massacre film, in my opinion, was the 2003 version with Jessica Biel, which bizarrely I thought was dope. Outside of that, any other Texas Chainsaw Massacre films are garbage, and this latest 2022 film is no exception, okay? I'm just going to tell you up front, even though I disliked Uncharted more, because Uncharted genuinely just made me furious throughout its entire runtime, this movie, I would give it a 2 out of 10 as well. This movie is so bad. Like, at the beginning of the movie, we see someone's smartphone, and we see Instagram on there. There's a character named Dante, and we see him on Instagram. And it's like, why is Instagram in this movie? Why are we in the present day in this movie? That is so dumb. That is so dumb. Why are we in the present day with Leatherface? Why the fuck does this entire cast of main characters, why the fuck do they look like they're about to break out into song and dance? It's almost as if they were casted for a Grease reboot, and somebody was like, oh, actually, I lied. You're actually going to be starring in the latest Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, I'm surprised that this movie isn't some kind of shitty musical from the way that it looks and from the way that our cast looks and behaves. There's a moment where Dante, he's walking downtown and he sees a Confederate flag waving above, and like he gets like triggered by it, and he's like, and it's like, why is this in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? Why is any of this in a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film? There's another moment where he meets this old lady whose name is Mrs. MC. At least that's what Google is telling me. But Dante, he runs into this woman, and there's a moment where she goes, I don't have a problem with Negroes. And it's like, Why? And then when you consider the way that we last see Dante, it's like, what was even the point? Why? What is going on here? Was the movie trying to be woke or something like that? Was this like an attempt at what? There's also another moment where one of the sisters, Leela, I believe is her name, there's a moment where she's standing alone with this stranger, the Confederate flag guy. She's with this guy alone in some building, and she's holding and like trying out this gun, and he's like, yeah, look at that. And she's like, yeah, a long time ago, this traumatic thing happened with me. And it's like, what the fuck? Who would do that? No one would do that. No one in their right mind is gonna check out some firearm with some stranger in the middle of fuck nowhere by themselves. No one. What even? And then another thing, there's a moment where this old woman, like she gets sick. She's being transferred in a police car, and there's a moment where the police car crashes, right? And there's this moment where this police officer, pretend like this is his hand. There's a moment where a police officer has his hand bent backwards by Leatherface, so great that his bones start bursting through this section right here of his wrist, and then out of nowhere, Leatherface takes his hand and just goes whoom, and this dude gets stabbed in the throat, killed by his own hand and wrist. They just like sever his fucking lungs. For some reason, the death, it was so wacky, and I just couldn't take it seriously. It was over the top in the wrong sense. It came across as cartoony, like Looney Tunes type shit for me. And unfortunately, all of the killings, the murders in this movie, I just can't take them seriously, they're just too ludicrous. They're just too absurd for me to take seriously or be disturbed by, or they're mostly cringe-worthy, especially when you consider the amount of CGI blood or CG aspects to some of these kills. There was one moment. What was that character's name? Melody. I think that's the main character, Melody. There was some moment where it might have been a different character, but I swear there was some moment with her and she was apologizing to Leatherface, and I was like, bitch, you are apologizing to a nigga who is 7 feet with someone else's face on his face. Dog, there's this old lady named Sally, and I will never forget, there's this sequence where some of the main characters are in a car and Sally's in the driver's seat, and they're like, please get us out of here, take us to safety. And Sally, she doesn't drive anywhere, and this bitch is like, I'm not leaving. Leatherface is here. I've been waiting 50 years to take down Leatherface, and tonight's the night. Basically, she's a shitty clone of Laurie Strode for some reason. I don't know why. And there's a moment where she has a one-on-one duel with Leatherface, right? Some scenes flicker by, right? And then we see her again, and it's like, no! Okay? No. There is no way that this old ass woman survived the last altercation. There's no way. There's no reason at all for this woman to still be breathing. There's a moment where someone yells, hey, Leatherfuck! There's also another bizarre moment where we're inside, there's a huge body of water, and Leatherface tackles Leela into the water as if he's Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, first off, you are way too big and heavy to pretend like you are Mike Phelps or some shit, number one. Number two, like, couldn't he have thrown a hatchet or a hammer or any other logical idea? Oh yeah, I almost forgot. The ending to this movie is one of the funniest goddamn things I've ever thrown onto these eyeballs. All I will say, this movie is so bad, y'all. Oh my god. So how can I say this without spoilers? So we see some characters in a car and they're driving away, and it's like, oh, they're riding off into the sunset. Everything's fine. And then there's this moment where Leatherface comes out of nowhere like, and he snatches someone out of the car and just immediately severs their fucking head, just immediately decapitates them. And he's just throwing, he's holding onto the severed head, and he's just like throwing it around like, and let me tell you, that moment was so abrupt. It was so abrupt. I just laughed so hard. I laughed so hard because, like, was that necessary? They didn't have to do it like that. Why'd they film it like that? Why did they make it happen that way? This movie is so illogically executed. This is some of the laziest horror filmmaking I've ever witnessed, okay? This movie is atrocious. This movie is liquid shit, hot garbage. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? This movie is a 2 out of 10. After the police car crash moment, after Leatherface finally puts on the mask, the movie just becomes a legitimate comedy after that point. After that point, onto the end credits, I was laughing out loud from the absurd stupidity of this film. Probably every 3 minutes, I was just busting up. Oh my god, how could I forget? There's a moment on a bus where Leatherface, it's a bunch of people packed into one spot, and he's just It's like a buffet of violence. He's just swinging the chainsaw around, and there's just limbs and blood just coating the inside of this bus, right? But right before this happens, on that bus, Leatherface gets on, and these people hold up their smartphones, and they start live streaming him, I think on Twitch, and one of the characters go, try anything, and you'll get canceled. Oh my God. Oh my God. Also, the mask is such shit. The mask is so bad. It's like they didn't even try. Oh my God. I'm done. I'm done talking about this shitty fucking movie.